Hello and welcome to Fit With Us episode 51. Gary, how are we today?
52.
Fucking 52, man. 52. Oh, I was complaining.
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. I can edit that out, but I'm not going.
I said episode 52 before we got recording, and for some reason I just reverted back to episode 51. Do you know what fucking put me off? I'll tell you what it was. I was disappointed you didn't have your fucking Christmas jumper on.
Oh, mate, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. That's for next week's episode because we've still got over a week to Christmas.
You all must have forgot, mate. You all must have forgot.
Next week, mate. Sorry, I made an arse last week's intro as well. Remember?
Fucking, so people still listening to this?
Mums, that's it.
Yeah.
Mums.
Did we find out
Um,
if there's anybody from Sweden or anything listening?
we didn't get any comments actually. Let me just double check. But whilst I'm checking this, Kyle, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. Let's address the elephant in the room. How was your one each victory against Tottenham?
Tell you something, man. I would have taken that before.
Fucking, fucking right, you would.
We very unlucky not to win. See if Dessers actually could finish. That was our game. That one on one with Foster. He done so well before it, and then made an arse at the end. But that's typical Dessers for you. But it was really good, man, and the atmosphere looked incredible. I've not seen Ibrox like that since probably the run to the Europa League final.
Yeah, to be fair, mate, I was actually going to text you at one point. I'm glad I didn't because I maybe got caught up in the moment. I was like, do you know what? I actually want you to do all right because I was like, it looks good for Scottish football. I fucking hate when the English talk about like the Scottish game going, oh, it's a pub league and
Farmers League.
yeah, I'm like, do you know what? It'd be fucking great. You've got a result against Tottenham. I know it was pre-season, but we beat Man City and Chelsea like
Yeah.
over that, and like it'd be good just to actually get through a season and go, do you know what? Get it right up, you pricks.
Aye. Well, it's looking good for both teams to go through.
Yeah, no, it is in fairness. What you reckoning? Well, this will be out on Sunday. What you reckoning for Sunday?
Oh, well, actually, when this releases, the match will still be on because of the stupid kickoff time.
Well, I doubt if anybody who has interest in the game is going to be pausing it to be fucking listening to us at the same time. So I'd imagine
Hey, you
they'll
never
listen to us
know.
after.
I honestly, full transparency, I'm probably going to be on next week's episode. Bitterly disappointed, shall we say? That's how I feel.
I don't know. Like, I think yous have got a bit of momentum. I still reckon if we play our game, we should beat yous. But with that said, I'm always going to say at the moment, just with the difference of the team, 8 out of 10 times Celtic should beat Rangers, but still
Yeah.
annoys me the 2 out of 10 times that you fucking don't. We don't. So
Aye.
I think if there's ever a chance, and it's where these have come from a month ago. A month ago, man, did you listen to Derek Ferguson? He was like, I've booked a holiday away. Genuinely had booked a holiday away this weekend because he didn't want to be in the country for the game.
Aye.
And now he's like, I regret it because obviously they aren't doing as bad. But
Building a bit of momentum, I know, but apparently, I've not actually read any news, but Suter and Igamani came off
I've seen that.
against Tottenham, so if we don't have them, mate, that's a big blow.
I can't believe I'm a Celtic fan telling you Rangers news that I know, but apparently that would be a typical Celtic fan knowing more about Rangers, wouldn't it? But yeah, apparently Iggy Mammies isn't too bad. I don't even know if I said his name right there. And Souters looks like it could be out for a wee while.
Oh, shit. So we've got Big Propper at the back. So yeah, definitely a Celtic victory. 100%.
Speaking of pumping, I've moved my office and I've literally
Where is this going?
just realised I've got a bed in the background here. I look like one of the cameras.
I
Blood
can't
out
see it. It's all
background.
blood anyway.
You can just about see the mattress there behind me.
Right. I
Yeah.
should probably blur mine because look at the state behind me.
Not. I'm going to unblur it for a second. I don't even know what's behind me here, but I'm going to unblur it for a second just to see. It's not too bad, to be fair.
That's decent, man. That's decent.
I might actually just keep that for now, albeit it now makes my hair look like Sonic the
I was
Hedgehog.
going to say it's the hair I'm worried about. It's here and there.
Just out of the shower, mate. I was running this morning and I actually got anxiety because I was like, fuck, I've got a podcast with Gary. And then I was only after I was in the shower going, well, he's not going to be able to fucking smell me through the podcast anyway.
You fucking idiot. Aye, just keep it on blood, mate. It looks absolutely fine. We are getting some decorating done, so that's why we've started loading the boxes in the spare room. But it's a bit of an eyesore, but it's the only place we can put stuff.
Just two cunts renovating houses, trying to make a
Oh,
podcast go that I'm
fucking
also listening to.
torture. Right, shall we talk about something health fitness related rather than rambling on about house decorating and football?
Yes, mate. Is there anything I've got a wee seed in the back of my head about something, but it's a sub note rather than anything else. You got
Cool.
anything forefront of mind that you want to talk about?
Mine's is a sub note too, mate, but I'm going to talk about it first, right? So I don't know how accurate it is, right? But I seen this little graph on. It was actually on Reddit, and it's basically like a study that Walmart have done, or somebody's done a study on Walmart in the States, and it's foods cost versus caloric density. Have you ever seen it like this?
I have, but not on like Walmart. I've seen one on like Tesco a while back, but yeah.
Right, right. So basically, it's cost in US dollars per 100 calories, and then it's calories per gram of food. All right, so you've got the wee chart. So basically, from what I see straight up, the cheapest option, the cheapest foods are the ones that is highest in calories, and the ones that are most expensive are the ones that's lowest in calories. Now we spoke about this on the podcast before about how, especially in the States, like obesity is a big problem. It's an epidemic, and we were saying about you know overweight children being some form of abuse, and um, I think this puts it into perspective. Like people that are struggling, people that can't afford or can barely afford to feed themselves, never mind their children, their family, like this can explain why we have such a problem with or the States. I mean, we have it as well, but this can explain why we have such a problem with obesity. The healthier, less calorie and more nutrient dense foods, the supermarkets seem to be making it fucking harder and harder for us to get. It's more expensive. I would say the quality has dropped as well. See, I'm not even joking, man. See the chicken standard in Canada when we were living there, quite possibly the worst chicken I have ever come across in my life.
Mate,
String.
they're not chickens, mate. Have you seen the documentaries on this stuff where they actually just
Oh,
have like it's not AI, it was well before AI, but it's like they genetically construct what they would look like for chickens, but they're born without
that's
heads and
right.
all that and fucking legs. They're literally just fucking like the body of a chicken that's born.
That's right. Aye, some of them are like morphed to the cage and stuff. Like they're like their skin and stuff is morphed like round the cage and all that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, mate, if you've ever played Silent Hill, mate, it's a wee bit like that. I'm playing it in the moment. I'm like, there's fucking chickens in Canada people are eating that look like the zombies in Silent Hill, mate.
Mate, honestly, some of the worst meat I've ever seen. So that in itself as well makes it difficult to eat a lower calorie, protein rich, nutrient dense diet. So yeah, I mean, this is purely speculation, right? But do you think it's all linked to like the pharmaceutical industry?
Oh,
Because
mate, the first thing I was thinking when you were saying it, I was like, you can't make money from healthy people, mate. That's the problem.
yeah, 100%. Like pharmaceutical companies built it's a multi-billion dollar a year industry. They want you on medication. That if they don't have you on medication, they're not making money. So that there's definitely something going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, have you ever? I know it's Joe Rogan and like fucking take Joe Rogan with a pinch of salt. I say that as we are competing against him as the podcast of the fucking year. But one of the things that they were saying about the dark side of health and fitness was like, and I knew this was the fact that the sugar industry paid scientists back in whatever the fucking 70s or 80s to make it out, maybe 60s. I don't know. Don't give a fuck. It was a while back. But they paid them to make it sound like saturated fat was the issue behind all of the diseases where it was actually sugar.
Yeah.
But there's still people to this day that it's like saturated fat's the issue and cholesterol's the issue, not sugar, because the sugar industry was making that much fucking cash. So it's all,
Mhm.
mate, it's all fucking, they're all charlatans, cunts.
It's all money, and see at the end of the day, see these multimillionaires, billionaires, right at the top of all these kind of pharmaceutical companies like Walmart and stuff like that. The reality of it is they don't give a fuck about you and your health. They just want to line their own pockets, and that is probably why they are making it as difficult as they can for you to be as healthy as you possibly can, because they profit more from people that are sick, that are unwell, that are obese, that aren't looking after themselves, that can't afford to look after themselves. So it's right now as well with the kind of this. I don't know. Are we in a recession? Are we going into a recession? everything seems to have fucking skyrocketed. I don't really take too much notice of it until I get to the till, and I'm like, fucking hell, this was 50 quid last week, and it's now 62 quid this week.
Mate, first time in my life I've put down a protein bar. I picked it up and then seen it was 450 for a protein bar, and I was like, nah, mate, I can go. I'm going to go catabolic today. I'm fine with not.
I,
I'm fine with being small. That's okay.
I,
I've made my peace
I
with it.
I know they talk about inflation and stuff like that, but surely to fuck, like, if all the cost of things are inflating in price, like, we need the wages to match. Like,
I agree, mate. And I was in fucking CEX yesterday. You get CEX in Scotland, don't you? CEX, right? So I was in CEX yesterday. Jen's trading in my fucking Xbox because apparently I don't play it, but I don't play it because I don't have time to play it. And it's like this big circle of me having it and wanting to play it, but I can't play it because I've not got time. So she's trading it in. So anyway, long story long was the fact that she went to go and trade that in. But I was looking at some of the DVDs, Blu-rays, whatever. Terminator 2 on Blu-ray, mate. Guess how much?
oh, is this a trick question? I mean, on Blu-ray, fiver.
€35, mate, which is
You are
about
joking.
that's equivalent to about £31, mate. You've you had the Deer Hunter 41. I'm like, I don't know how the war in Ukraine's made the Deer Hunter fucking 41 quid. Like, what at what point is
Aye. How can they justify that? What are they trying to do? Are they saying it's like a collector's edition? Is it a classic? Is it gold edition? What the fuck?
mate, 3 years ago it was about 12 quid max. Like, I don't understand how it's tripled in price.
That's crazy. Like, just
You can get it in iTunes for 4.99.
It's wild. Honestly, I don't understand the way that the world economy is going at the minute. But yeah, back to like my initial point, they're just making it so fucking difficult for us to be healthier versions of ourselves because not only is it the struggle with food as well, but then you've got because things are going up in price, you've got the stress on top of that too. Stress isn't fucking healthy. Yes, we do want to, stress isn't a bad thing necessarily, but when you're under high levels of stress consistently, then it's a bad thing. Then our health starts to deteriorate off the back of that as well. So it's got this horrendous snowball effect. And honestly, right now, it seems to be a very, very difficult place to try and get out of and trying to find some form of normality.
I was going to ask, mate, and I don't know if you have the answer. Maybe we wouldn't just be sitting as two PTs if we did have the answer. But what is the answer to the problem?
I mean, aye, what is the answer to the problem? Cheaper, more ready available, nutritious food, less calorie dense food.
Uh,
You could rhyme off a thousand answers, but it has to be realistic, and for it to be realistic and sustainable, then yeah, that's not my forte. That's not my um. I don't have the knowledge. If I had the knowledge, I'd be a politician. Well, let's be honest, I don't even know if they have the knowledge either.
Mate, they're just good at lying to people. That's their job, mate, is to be able to understand that the thing they're saying is not true, but lie people in the face different ways. 100%.
Yeah,
What was I going to say? I think that whilst it's not a solution, I think it's always been the way where like it's not just fucking we have recency bias in the sense that like things are excessively expensive, but that's not just healthy food. Healthy food, yes, there is a big difference between like I've always found that when I was at fucking school, mate, and the boys were going to the chip shop and getting a fucking roll and sausage or whatever, like I'm not saying I had no interest in it, but I just genuinely was like, I've never had an interest in fucking chips or pies. But I was like, I went to the shop and I tried to get myself like a bit of chicken. And it's like, you end up looking at, I think it was like, at the time, I think it was £3.50 for the chicken. But like they boys were getting like a meal deal for £2.50. So they were
aye,
getting a roll with a rolling sausage in it, which is a weird combination. Stuck out that they're all getting that. A can of juice, and I think there was something else, maybe chips or a bar or something with it. And I'm like, they are like, if you're talking about calories to pounds, like the calories they're getting is probably about 1,000 calories they're getting for about 250. I'm getting
aye.
at best 350 calories, 400, like for an extra £1.50. Fucking shite.
It's mental. It's mental. Even like fresh produce as well. Like see fresh fruit and veg. Can't believe how expensive it's becoming. Um, we're quite lucky over here. Like it's not. It still is expensive, but it's not to the levels of the likes of Canada and stuff like that. I think I don't know if it was Canada or Australia, but it was three peppers for like $9, which I couldn't believe it. Jaw hit the floor. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, I was in Bordeaux October time, and I said to Jenna, I was like, I don't know how anybody hits a protein goal over here because everything was relatively cheap, but you tried to buy chicken, beef, salmon, anything like that. You're talking minimum £8 to £9 per item, and I'm like, that's fucking insane. Like, it actually made me realise how well the UK and Ireland kind of run compared to other countries, whilst it's still
Yeah.
relatively expensive. I still think people can be savvy about things by buying things in bulk, and like it does take a little bit. I think if anything, it now proves that you probably do need to prep a little bit more. Like I think a protein powder and fucking oats and yogurt are probably your best shouts if we're looking at doing it on a budget. But there are options available to you. I think just because one thing is true doesn't mean that you can't find a way around it. But
Yeah.
yeah, mate, it is a fucking problem. But sure, me and you are not going to get invited to run for office for either country that we're in at the moment, are we?
Well, you never know, man. You're nearly taking over the weightlifting team or powerlifting team, so that's the first step into it.
Just do what I want, mate. Reduce the prices of chickens. Saying that, I've always had that thing. I was like, I've bought a reduced chicken a few times, and then like I've had great intentions of finishing it, and it's like, oh fuck, I've left that in the fridge a day too long or whatever. But I've always thought, imagine you were a chicken, you lived your life, and you get killed to get sold, but then you made it to the reduced section, nobody bought you the reduced section, and you get binned. I'm like, fuck, you're literally a worthless chicken.
How much caffeine have you had this morning?
Oh mate, I'm literally the highest amount I've had in a while. Beta alanine as well, mate. My face is crawling at the moment. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, like I've not even eaten to fucking slow down the digestion process.
See, the next time somebody pisses me off, man, that is such a put down. You're nothing but a worthless chicken.
Worthless chicken, mate. Explain it to them.
What were you going to ask me? What was the wee kind of thing that you had?
Oh mate, I've got two actually. Like, so I was thinking about January last year, and what really pissed me off, I was like, see when all the fucking people came out the woodwork, the ice baths. I'm like, fucking nobody's got posts up about ice baths in December. Where are you? I'm like, I'm literally going to play like the fucking. I've never seen the Hunger Games, but imagine it's something like this. I'm just going to unfollow every person that puts up something about an ice bath in January. But I wonder what the next one is. And then I started thinking, what are the red flags? And we've always talked about green flags and fucking what you would look for in PT, but like in fitness people, what are the red flags and things that you want to avoid in January? I was thinking red flags in general. I went on this wee mind bending trip, albeit there was no mushrooms involved in this one. But I went on a wee mind bending trip of if I was to start in January, what the things, not just that I would do, but what the things that I would avoid doing, what the fucking common things that people get themselves into trouble from. And taking another wee part that I was going to add in there, someone in a call said to me, or not said to me, said to the group, the wider group, what would happen if you took failure off of the table? How far would you get? The biggest issue is we often fucking, it's like the burn the boats thing. We've always got the option to step back. If this doesn't work out, I can always step into something else. I'm like, what are the things that actually make people quit? Who do you follow? What do you do? What are the red flags? What are the things that people jump into? And why is it a problem? Like, I think I've asked a question there. Did I ask a question there? I don't know. What would you
Yeah,
say the things to
yeah.
avoid? What
Red
was the things you
flags.
avoid in January? Both from things and trends and people following and things you do yourself.
First of all, the thing that most people tend to do in January, I would avoid over restriction. I think that's, a lot of people, I'll start in January. As soon as January 2nd comes round, they are literally like bang, cutting out carbs, cutting out sugar, cutting out all the things that make you fucking happy. Going down to a 1,200 calorie a day diet. I'm trying to shift as many pounds as I can before my summer holiday. So I think the over restriction immediately is something that I would avoid because not only are you going to become miserable, but you're also not going to succeed as well. Because it is unsustainable, it is unrealistic. You're going to be, I mean, most of the people they do get into the gym in January as well. You're going to be getting into the gym fucking exhausted. You're going to get into the gym tired. The the risk of injury increases as well when you don't eat enough because of the tiredness, the fatigue. Um, so that is straight off the bat over restriction as well. Not as well, sorry, over restriction. Do you agree with that? Is that like an answer that you're kind of looking for?
It's not that I was leading it down any sort of avenue, mate. I was just interested. It was a genuine
Aye.
question. It did
Yeah, I can. You're fucking tweaking, man.
tweaking or
You're
twerking.
like that. You're like that. Up, right up, right up.
Just had to make sure my Wi-Fi was working,
You
mate.
are tweaking. You have had so much caffeine, and I'm here for it.
I've not even got a 3D monitor, mate, but you're coming out. It's like visceral effects, mate. The HDR is fucking vibing today.
You're seeing noise.
I can't wait for the crash to happen. Um,
Right, so that's my first answer. Give me your first answer.
um,
Like, what would you be avoiding in January?
Mate, I'd avoid like I think people go through the entire year not failing at anything because they don't put anything in place for them to
Yeah.
fail at. It's very easy to just go, well, I can't fuck. It's a thinking man meme, isn't it? Like, oh, you can't fail at anything if you don't set any goals. But the opposite is true in my opinion as well. Is people the reason they don't actually fucking try anything else is because in January they set themselves a fucking thousand things to do, and it's always born for me out of a place of emotion where it's like you've pressed like most office like we've both worked in offices, mate. November time, like you're talking the parties start then, like the fucking
Mm.
cakes are more in the office, it's darker, it's like, oh fuck it, we're rolling out the end of the year, we're winding down till Christmas. And I'm like, that starts mid November, you're talking 7 weeks. Like I've got people that I coach at the moment, and I'm like, fucking press the fuck it button 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, absolutely no danger, Power Ranger.
Aye.
But don't come crying to me on the 28th of December going, I feel fucking miserable and I didn't enjoy my Christmas. So, like, um, I think a lot of it like comes down to the emotion you're feeling at the moment and feeling the want and need. And a lot of it is like, well, I've done nothing but drink and eat for 6 weeks.
Mhm.
So it's easy now to go, I'm not drinking and eating. But you know what? January, yeah, there's fuck all that happens, but it becomes a very boring month of there's literally nothing that happens. I think it's the worst time to give up all that shit. Not saying that you should continue the party on through January, but I think there's nothing worse than literally failing at hurdle one. You fail at hurdle one, it can fucking ruin your year. So I would be transparent about it and go, what can you do? And I fucking hate making this sound super simple. What can you do that you can see yourself doing in April, May, June, July, August? And ask yourself, genuinely, does it pass that test? Do the wee fucking flowchart thing going, what's my plans?
Yeah.
Am I planning to give up fucking alcohol? Does my nutting when everybody's like, oh, I've gave up alcohol for 3 weeks and I feel great. I'm like, so mate, let's see you in May. Like, it's not saying you shouldn't do it, but at the same time, like, fucking, what can you do that's sustainable? Is it like go to the gym 5 times a week? You're not going to get the results you expect. I genuinely lose count the amount of times people think they're going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger come April. And I was like, no wonder you've quit in February because you realise your body doesn't look fucking that much different in February.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I would very much be looking at what can I do that I can do consistently and I can do well till March, April, May. Like, go to the gym twice a week. Probably pick points where it's a bit quieter. Fucking, there's my answer straight away. Do
Mhm.
something you can do. And a rainy night in September.
There you go. On a Tuesday night in Stoke. But that's something that people do tend to struggle as well. Like they've got big aspirations, and I've been guilty of this myself many, many times before. Big aspirations. You set your plan out for January. I'm going to hit the gym 5 times a week. I'm going to get my 10K steps in. I'm going to drink 3 liters of water a day. And for the first week, you tick the majority of those boxes because motivation is high. You're up for it. You're disciplined. Then the second week in January comes round, you're back at work, you realise how fucking boring January actually is because everybody's skint. The motivation starts to dwindle. And then by the third week in January, you're struggling to make it 5 times a week. And then because you can't make it 5 times a week, and that's the goal that you set yourself, you think, well, what's the fucking point? So what I would do rather than setting a goal of 5 days a week, again, ask yourself, what can I continue to do until March, April, May time? 2 times a week, minimum 2 times a week. See if I can make it 5 times a week. Fan fucking tastic. But see if I can only make it two. Fan fucking tastic. It doesn't matter as long as you're setting a realistic target. Any more than that is a bonus. Set it for 2 times a week. Smash your two workouts. If you go for a third, brilliant, amazing. But if you set it for 5 times a week and you can only make it twice, you're going to feel like a failure. You're going to feel like you're not doing enough to get you to where you want to be, when the complete opposite is the truth.
Yeah, I would agree. If I wanted to fail my January goals, the first thing I would do is try to train 5 times a week because I know straight away that would be
Yep.
an issue. Um, Second thing I do would be overly restrictive. You touched on it at the very start, but fuck me, like miserable existence.
Yeah.
I think there's people, as much as I'm just after slating every influencer and their dog for going into the ice bath thing, because that was a stupid idea in the first place. Like, fucking have a word with yourself. Um,
The age recovery.
yeah, mate, and do you know what? It's fine to age recovery for the people who are still doing it, but see the people who are still doing it, the same people who've been doing it for years and the same people you never fucking hear about doing it because they're not there to be seen. The thing is, you're looking for validation because you know you've fucked it for the last 8 weeks and then you've put it on Instagram going, oh, health. I'm like, sound, mate. I'll post a picture of my salad. Fucking health.
Health. Ice
Yeah,
bath and green smoothie.
yeah, health with an F. Um,
Like,
Fucking zen, mate. What was I going to say? Yeah, I would track data, being honest.
yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I lose count of the amount of people that I've had conversations with going, oh, sure, I can do it myself. I know what to do. I'm like, right, mate,
Yeah.
well, you're arrogant enough and ignorant enough. I don't know if it's arrogance or ignorance now because I now know I've got a guy who's been messaging me now for 4 years with the same problem. And it's like, oh, I know what to do. I'm like, well, mate, you're 4 years in and you're not doing it. So you
Yeah.
obviously either don't know what to do or you're being arrogant or ignorant about it. So I'll tell you what, I'll tell you what to do, exactly what to do. Go and fucking do it. And then, do you know what? Still doesn't do it. So
Yeah.
I think being realistic with yourself, data doesn't lie. And this is the thing that human beings, we always like to outsmart things. I'll do the same myself. And again, you've said this as well. What Gary and I are speaking to, I'm going to speak on behalf of Gary here and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the advice we're giving you is not based on the fact that we've not made these mistakes. We fucking often do, and I probably still will make some of these mistakes. I'm still chasing the shiny objects sometimes, going, January. You'll never see me in an ice bath. I'll fucking throw that out there right now. But January, that sounds like it because it is. It's the Monday of Mondays, a time of change. People don't reflect, like whereas, like I think it is good to have reflection points often, but we're not talking to you from a point of we are not immune to the stuff that happens. But do you know what the thing is? Data doesn't lie. Data doesn't care about your feelings. Like realistically, you'll end up in a better place if you're able to tick the boxes. And if you're not able to tick the boxes, that's fine. There's no judgment by the boxes. The boxes will tell you at the end of the year if you've ticked enough of them, you get to where you want to be. If you don't, then you won't. But I mean, you can give every excuse under the sun about knowing what to do, whatever. But there's a reason that you've not ticked the boxes for years and years and years and years. Like, just actually get in there, track your training, track your nutrition, track your movement. Like talking from a health and fitness perspective, but if you do all that, like it is the simple things that people don't want to do consistently because it's fucking
Yeah.
boring and not sexy. But then they'll end up signing up to some fucking fat loss plan by some influencer, and it's like it's a fucking disaster. I'm all for investing in yourself, but fuck me, that's a disaster waiting to happen straight away. Like they're just
Aye.
taking advantage of your emotions.
So yeah, just touching on that as well about the data, like obviously we're talking about red flags and things that we would avoid in January. Winging it. I would completely avoid going in and trying to wing your workouts. Don't go in and say, oh, I feel like doing arms today, or I feel like doing fucking, shoulders and a wee bit of quads today, or just some random shit, right? Go in with a plan. Doesn't need to be all singing or dancing. It really doesn't. See, as long as you're doing the same moves week on week, but aiming to progressively overload whilst tracking your data, I promise you, like if you're very new to weightlifting and you be super consistent, you can radically change your body 12 to 20 weeks if you do it consistently week on week. You don't need a lot of equipment. You could do it with two fucking dumbbells at home if you really, really wanted, if you had the right plan in place. But you're not going to get that radical change without tracking your data. See if you keep going in and trying to guess what weight you were doing last week. You take 4 sets to actually figure out, oh, this feels like where I was last week. By that time, fatigue the muscle. You're not going to see the progress that you could make if you tracked your fucking lifts. Simple as that. Track your lifts.
And if you're only finally realizing that was a weight you did last week, then you're not progressing your session, which means essentially you're just doing last week's session, which means you're not
Aye.
progressing anything at all, which is literally the most monumental waste of your time. I had a conversation with a guy this week actually, and he was talking about, we came to the chat at the end about like the price of coaching and stuff, and he was like, "Oh, it's expensive." Now I'm going to argue straight away. I'm like, I'm still far cheaper than most online coaches and whatever. But I put it back onto him. I'm like, mate, you've literally said to me you're going to the gym for the last 4 years and you're not where you want to be. Like, what's more expensive? Like, the money
Yeah,
you're going to pay me for 3 months, get to where you want to be, know how you've got there, and be able to be progressive with it. Or you turning up at 6 o'clock in the morning, forcing yourself 3 or 4 times a week, being unsure about what you're doing, and still feeling shite about yourself in 6 months. I'm like, what is more disrespectful to your time, your energy, and whatever? What's going to cost you more in the long term than that? Like,
100%. And yeah, like as I mean, it sounds like it's coming from a place of ignorance rather than arrogance. But yeah, we do get. I mean, I felt like that myself before. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and then eventually I had to fucking reach out for help as well because even though I knew what I was doing, I wasn't applying myself the correct way. Wasn't tracking my lifts. I wasn't really tracking my food. I was just being a bit kind of lackadaisical with my training and my nutrition. Reached out for help, realized I needed it, reached out for help, and it was quite possibly the best decision I've ever made in my life. Um, and again, yeah, when you do get the price of coaching and stuff, you do have that wee bit of a, oh fuck me, that's it's quite a bit of money. But when you break it all down for the service that you're getting, for the information that you're going to learn, and for the toolkit that you're eventually going to build out to help you sustain these results for the long term, like um, it's not that much money. Like when you literally break it all down, pound by pound or euro by euro, however you want to however you want to see it. Um, so yeah, listen, did he sign up? That's what I want to know.
he has, mate.
Good,
He
good.
has, which is it's positive. But again, that's I will call out anybody's bullshit. I think when it comes to like, I think a lot of time ignorance, arrogance, but there's been disrespectful to yourself and your decisions. Your decisions, whether you make a decision or not, still a decision. Like you not making a decision is a decision.
Mhm.
You not taking action is still taking a form of action. Like things don't get better, they get worse. I fucking hit 3 different Instagrammable quotes. You're welcome. But I think one of the things that I think it was this point last year, there was a guy who talked to me about being able to like coaching being a luxury is not one he could afford right now. I knew it was because it was Christmas and he was struggling a little bit with
Yeah,
finances and stuff. I was like, yeah, mate, but we've also talked about where you want to be and genuinely being worried about not being able to see the rest of your children's lives. You've also, ironically, the day before, told me you've got 4 nights out coming in the next 2 weeks. And I was like, I don't mind. I'm not going to hold anybody prisoner. This was obviously last year, but I was like, I'm not holding anybody prisoner. But realistically, mate, I would argue that what's more of a luxury for you right now is those 4 things. It's not something you're going to want to hear, but the decisions you are making right now is prioritising that, and that will show. And I was like,
yeah,
what I'd like to see is where you are this time next year. Lo and behold, this person this time this year is in phenomenal shape and is very, very happy we had the conversation. But I'm like, we're all guilty of believing our own bullshit at times. It's like you then look at like your calendar and go, we're talking about expensive stuff. Like I used to, like when I was mad on the sessions, not happily, but I'd put down 100 quid having pints, not think twice
easy.
about it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, easy.
not think twice about it. Do that several times a week. Sorry, say several times a month, whatever. Probably add it up, 500, 600 quid a month that I'm spending on pints. I would,
Aye,
I'd argue that the things that I couldn't afford, that were cheaper, gone, couldn't afford it, can't do it.
aye.
it
It's mental how we're wired like that, isn't it? It's
bullshit.
absolutely mind-boggling, boggling how we're wired like that. I think it's that initial thought of a bigger sum of money all in one go rather than smaller sums of money spread out throughout the month.
Again, mate, conversation. Again, I'm only speaking about real people, real experiences. I'll never name names on this, but like there's a guy again. Actually, did have a conversation with a guy who's been on at me for about 4 years. Same problems. Like, eventually got on a call, spoke about it. Was like, so what's the issue? Saturday, Sunday, sometimes into Monday because he's off on a Monday. Pints, probably drink about 12 to 14 pints a day. Bear in mind, in Ireland, pints are £7 a pint. So you're
Yeah.
talking 10 times 7, 70 quid, quick maths. couple of extra pints in there plus food. You're talking easily 140 quid a day over the weekend. 140 quid, what's that, 280? 300 quid a weekend, spending no problem. Not thinking twice about it, like over the course of a month. 1,200 quid. Like, I mean, I'd say the majority of his wages going on that. Spoke to him about coaching, which fraction of that price, like genuine fraction of that price, wouldn't entertain it. Like, he's like,
Mental.
I'm like, I said it, like, I actually had a conversation with Jen going, it actually baffles me, human beings. I'm like, on one hand, this guy's literally spoke to me enough over 4 years. It's like a wee girl who keeps texting you, especially when they've had a few pints going, I want you. I'm like, over 4 years, but is unwilling to part with what is a percentage of what he spends on pints.
And quite a small percentage at that as well. And it's just it must just be the seeing that number. Fuck. How I sometimes look at it as well is we might or they might see that number on top of what they're already spending, not realizing that if they invest that money into coaching, then they're obviously going to strip back a wee bit with the booze and stuff that you buy at the weekend. So um, when you take a step back and put it that way, he's actually going to be saving money in the long run. But just straight off the bat, he's thinking that's an expense on top of what he's already spending. Does that make sense?
100%. I put up a post about this from my point of view because, ironically, I, like me or you, we always get that. Well, if you're a PT, why do you need a PT pish, right? So, well, it comes to business,
Does my box in.
me too, but that's a fucking conversation for a different day. But like the touching on it actually is the reason I've had and you've had a coach is because it brings you up levels to be a better coach. I have genuinely spent thousands. I actually looked at the numbers last year and I'm like, there was like, fuck it, I'll say the number. There was 44 grand I spent last year on mentoring and coaching. And I'm like, that's a large percentage of what could have been profit just for biofitness. But I'm aware that if I didn't spend that, like realistically, would I end up in a better place? I could have sat easily. I mean, I'm literally looking at going one of those fucking Steam decks going 500 quid. Can afford it, but it's not the priority right now. I'm
Yeah.
like, I pay myself fucking minimal wages a month and pretty much reinvest all of it into being a better person, better coach, because that's where my priorities are. Like, I've fucking no interest in, but I think always what you spend your money on and what you invest in is going to give you a return. Like, but people are just so. I would be super, super. The actionable point here is look at where you're spending your energy and look at where you're spending your money. That will give you clues as to where you're going to end up. Would be my.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Right, red flags. Back to the red flags in January. Next one.
Next red flag.
I would like, I'll start this one. I'll answer this one. Unfollow all of the fitfluencers that you want to look like. Unfollow all of the fitfluencers that you take advice from, and unfollow every fitfluencer that you follow. Period. Doesn't matter if you want to look like them or no. Get them fucking unfollowed because they are melting your brain.
Can I ask a question? And I'm not taking any angle on this. I'm actually still thinking it through myself. Do you think there's any exception to that rule?
Any exception to unfollowing fitfluencers?
Yes. Do you think there's ever a time that that can be a positive influence?
Well, right. Yes, okay, yes, right. And I'm gonna try and not make a complete ass of this explanation as well. So, you know how I don't know if we spoke about this before, but you know how we always say comparison is the thief of joy?
Yep.
What if it's actually not? What if you can reframe it to actually have the opposite effect of stealing that joy from you? You know what I mean by that? So what if, right? What if you see somebody that's doing incredibly well in their own fitness journey and it inspires you? You're comparing your journey to theirs to a point where it actually inspires you to get up and go rather than having that effect of um, they're doing so well and I'm doing so shite. So, does that make sense? Now, what I would say is Fitfluencers is probably not the people that you want to be taking inspiration from, especially if they're sponsored by Gymshark. But people that are on, I wouldn't even call them fitfluencers. I would just, people that are on their own journey and they don't do it for the clout, they do it to share their journey. That's the type of people that I would maybe be looking at following. People that aren't trying to sell you stuff, people that are literally just trying to make themselves happier, healthier, more confident. Um, yeah,
I, yeah, I would like. I asked the question not knowing the answer. To be honest, I was
yeah,
thinking my own thought process through here, and I'm like, for me, same thing. It's like, who's the beneficiary to the content in the sense that, like, there's lots of people who just post pictures of them looking good, but there's actually no actionable, or like there's nothing there that's any sort of use. And then people wonder why when they launch a program and they sign up to it, they don't get results. I'm like, well,
yeah,
look at the content. There's not a single fucking thing they've ever gave out that's of any use to anybody outside of posting pictures of either the pecs in the gym or, like, again, doing glute thrusts, hip thrusts. But yeah, I was got like, I think there is to an extent, because I mean it's undermining, like, albeit like what realm does what we do in terms of coaching turn into fitfluence. I've never had an interest in going viral, and I've never had an
yeah,
interest in, like, again, doing TikTok dances. But like, I think there are lots of decent, genuine people out there. The problem is, like, the internet kind of brings us all together in a very unregulated fashion. And is there is there helpful information out there? Yes, but I would probably look at going, how does that person's content make you feel?
yeah,
What benefit is that? Is it making you feel bad about yourself because you're not in that position, or are they helping bring you up? Are they giving you anything in terms of that actually seems realistic? A lot of the time, if it seems too good to be true, then it probably is too good to be true.
100%.
So yeah, I'd say that, but I'd also be very wary of what that person says and does. So you'll often see people in that sphere or zone. They'll say in January, again, fucking ice baths, bring it up. That's the last time, I swear, that's the last time I bring it up. It's like my ice baths are your Eddie Abu at the moment. But like, you'll see them post all this, like, about like January new leafs, and all of a sudden it's like the end of January, they've given up drinking and they've signed up to a photo shoot in fucking March, and they're getting back into a pro card
Yeah,
bodybuilding competition come July. And actually, come August, they've done fucking none of it, and there's like, it's all been deleted and all of that. And it's like, is the person actually walking the walk and talking the talk? And
yeah,
are they living the life that you would like? Is there parts of their life that you'd aspire to have bits of?
yeah.
Because I think that's really what you'd be looking for.
100%. Now, if you are, this is just an example, random example. If you are a middle-aged woman with two kids, a poor relationship with food, and are slightly in the obese category on a BMI scale or a BMI chart, sorry, you don't want to be following a 19, 20-year-old fitfluencer who's showing you how to get glutes. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I mean. Like, unfollow all of those fucking idiots who have no qualifications, who've lifted weights for 5 minutes and think they know what they're talking about. Follow people that have lived a life or experienced experiences similar to yours or the ones that you're currently going through. You need people that is going to be relatable rather than people that are like sponsored athletes who actually do this for a living, who get to lift weights in the gym 7 days a week if they wanted, who don't know what having a real world job is like, who don't have kids, who don't understand, who are just so unattached for reality. Like, that is not who you want to be following. That is not who you should be wanting to take your advice off of. That is not who you should be wanting or aspiring to look like. Live, no, live. Sorry, follow people that have lived 5 minutes in similar shoes to yours. Does that make sense?
I thought you were about to say live, laugh, love there, but the way you went
Oh, mate,
live,
I'd have cancelled the podcast myself if
yeah,
that was coming out of my gob.
yeah, mate, the file would have been sent to the fucking lost files archive.
But does that make sense what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%, mate. I'm actually on a wee trend at the moment. I don't know if it's because I looked at one video; they're all coming up, but I'm seeing, like, people claiming they're 19 years old, natural.
oh,
Seeing the muscle mass on them and the lean definition they have, and I'm like, mate, you've got about 30 years worth of muscle at like the genetic potential, and you're as fucking diced as lean chicken. And like, there's not a fucking chance that there's not a natural bone in your body.
I know.
Problem is, mate, first time in my life we're dealing with the fact that they can put something up like that on Instagram, and I'd say the majority of people. So the people who do know, me or you, never got to buy from them anyway. But the people who don't know, they're 100% going to go, fuck, well, he must know what he's talking about. He's in good shape.
Yeah.
So the thing is, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Like, you are going to find that if they're putting that amount of stuff into the body at 19 years old, there's a good chance that by the time they're 40, they're going to feel the effects of that. Now, they're not going to think it, mate. At 19 years old, we've talked about this. We thought we were invincible.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they didn't take that path. Actually, the biggest temptation I've ever had to take steroids was when I was between probably 19 and 25. Like, I was at that point, because you don't think about too much about, like, what's happening in the future. But as their equal and opposite reaction is probably they're going to be talking when they're 40 about how health and fitness has ruined them and the chasing bodybuilding's ruined them. Like, if they're still alive and not had major heart surgery as a
Yeah,
byproduct.
and they might be standing in aisles in Lidl shouting about cakes being bad and telling everybody to wake the fuck up and eating eggs, 12 eggs for breakfast at 5 o'clock at night.
Mate, did you see, did we talk about this last week? I can't remember. BBC put it up about oats being bad.
No, fuck's sake.
No, we
No,
didn't
I
talk.
didn't see it. I didn't
Oh,
see it.
mate.
What I
BBC
did
did.
see though is BBC putting up an article saying Stephen Bartlett's being investigated for promoting unhealthy advice on his Diary of a CEO podcast.
Yeah, mate. Fucking Stevie Wonder could see that was coming, mate.
100%. Fuck, there was another point that I was going to make there, and that kind of sidetracked us a wee bit. I've totally forgot. I don't know. Have you got something whilst I try and think about this?
We were talking about souped up 17-year-olds with extremes amount of muscle, algorithms popping up on our newsfeed and things that we didn't actually
Yeah, it
think
was something related to that, and it's completely gone now.
we should avoid. But yeah, no, to be fair, that's one of the issues actually, of finding people. Jen's got this wee girl on our Instagram. If you remember what you're talking about,
I do. I come back to.
just keep the thought process. I don't want to hear that you forgot about it. Right. So the girl, Jen's got this wee girl, and you might have seen her. Like, I'm new to it, but that dances round, like, she does a wee dance in shops.
Oh, mate,
She must be autistic or something, but like, she's dances and then shows you what food she has or whatever. But I mean, she's got literally millions of followers, and I'm like,
millions. Is it
that's,
Carla or something like that, or
I think so, mate. I don't
something
know.
like that? Aye, but some of the shit she says is absolute nonsense, utter shite. Um,
I need to mute the videos when I'm wanking. To be fair.
I would say it's a tough one as well. But do you know what? Like, she's doing her own thing, but yeah, some of the stuff she's saying is utter nonsense. And what was it she had for breakfast the other day?
Oh, mate,
Oh,
I don't know to that extent what she had for breakfast.
mate, I
It
watched
wasn't
the video and I'm not even
Gabby.
joking. Oats with like pulled chicken through them or something
Mm.
like that. Like
Yeah,
something
mate, you're
so
right. No,
bizarre.
sorry, you are right. As much as I say I didn't know, I do know. Jen showed me it's rancid what she has, mate. Everything she has. She's a cretin, a wee creature.
Right, swiftly moving on before you do get us cancelled. Hopefully none of our millions of followers listen to this episode. But anyway, what I was going to say, and it was just talking about, those natural 19-year-olds who are absolutely diced as fuck. I seen a video on Instagram during the week, and it was a guy who uploaded, he was standing in his kitchen, and he's like, this is my physique after 15 years of lifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Standing side, back. Mate, he was in fantastic shape, all natural. Like, he's like, I've not touched whatever, not touched any performance enhancing drugs. And see the comments, he was getting slaughtered. Like, absolute people were commenting saying, bro went to the gym and forgot to lift. People were saying probably should have stayed at home just because our like the body standards now we're so warped because of social media, because of all the steroids, because of all these fucking influencer idiots claiming like they're natural. This honestly, like this guy was in. I would be over the moon if I had this guy's physique. It wasn't pure diced, just lean, really good shape, had a solid bit of lean muscle on him. But yeah, like he was honestly getting absolutely rinsed in the comments just because people are fucking idiots on social media, especially Instagram. Instagram is such a pure it's such a cesspit right now, and it has been for years and years. But I'm now noticing it more. Sure, it was like that time that I got slaughtered for my squat for having a hangy belly, even though I was a week after my photo shoot. Do you know what I mean?
Oh mate, don't like I put up a video of AJ after his photo shoot where he knocked down the
Yeah,
out cup. Now the guy's lost fucking what was it, 52 kilos or something, right? I had a guy who stuck in a comment under it going, no, all of it was positive until this guy's comment was, oh, just tuck your belly into your shorts, will you? Now, bear in mind, when you've come from 130 kilos and lost 57 kilos, you're going to have a bit of loose skin. Like the photographer, and quite rightly so, told AJ if you feel more comfortable, just tuck your loose skin into your shorts. He's completely ignored the fact that AJ's like fucking quarter of the human being he was and focused on that. But do you know what? Wasn't the guy's comment the faceless profile? There was 7 people who liked it. And
aye.
out of those 7 people, there was 3 people who I know are local to here. I mean, I started getting quite personal about it. I was like looking at them going, I feel like messaging them going, what do you think you're accomplishing there? You're literally belittling somebody's achievements by focusing on that one really negative. But then I'm also sticking to my rule that I've said for years: don't argue with idiots on the internet. You're in trouble. You're in danger of becoming one of them. But I'm like, it is still very frustrating, and it is a reflection of them that they focus on the one thing that isn't actually. If you imagine they're speaking to other people on the internet like that, like what they say to themselves, but it doesn't make it any easier when it happens. Like,
Aye. Oh, I like all this negativity and stuff that people project online. That's them just literally projecting their own insecurities, hiding behind faceless profiles, keyboard warriors saying stuff to you online that they would not even dream about saying to your face in person. But yeah, man, like the way I responded to that is I loved their comment and I laughed at it because you know what? I was still getting traction to my video. I was still getting traction to my page. I actually had one of my mates who did respond, and I was like, just leave it. Like, there's no point in responding. But he started a fight or a keyboard fight, shall we say, with them. And it was actually quite entertaining. Maybe back in the day, maybe younger Gary, mid early to mid 20s, would have taken offence to it and tried to start a war over the keyboard and got absolutely nowhere. But yeah, people are fucked. Like, and I think this is a good point to make as well. Like, no matter what you do in January, you have to make sure you are focusing on you and your journey. This is why I'm saying unfollow all the Fitfluencers because your journey is not going to look like the Fitfluencers' journey. I just remember that you're doing this for you and you alone. Fuck everybody else. Fuck what we've got to say. As long as you are becoming healthier, as long as you're becoming happier, as long as you're becoming way more confident. There was another video I seen as well, right? And it was like a response video, and it was a girl had uploaded a video of her training or working out or something like that, and she was a big lassie, right? She was a big lassie, and the comments were like slaughtering her for how heavy she was. But what they didn't know is like she was already like £100 down. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So people are just fucking relentless and ruthless, and they'll comment on something when they don't know the whole story. They don't have all the facts. Their opinions. Um, their opinions are not worth a fuck, in my opinion.
I'm going to say 2 things on that. I agree 100%. They are the internet's a fucking ruthless place, and do you know what? Sometimes if you put your shit out there on the internet, you're open to it. Like
100%, 100%.
there's on the opposite end of that, there's a girl. I don't know if you've ever seen her. She like again scrolling randomly. She stands on the scales and it's like her weight's like fucking 92 kilos or whatever it is, and she's like, "Oh, if apparently if you're a girl in 92 kilos, you're fat," and then it cuts to her walking on a treadmill with some sort of clothes on and goes, "Oh, am I fat?" And I'm like, if anything, actually, there's a few of her videos where she does look quite fat. But of course, being social media, like people are rinsing her for it. I'm like, I have little sympathy for you because you've literally drawn attention to a weight
Yeah.
and also drawn attention to yourself, literally asking people, do I look fat when you do actually look a little bit fat? So you're kind of, not that I'm fucking joining in it going, chunky. Like, but at the same time, there is an element of that. I think with that though, is the people around you are the ones that matter. Well, like I know we need to wrap this up, but I'm going to just end with my thing where when I set a goal, I tell the people closest to me around it not what my goal is really, but more so why I'm doing what I'm doing,
Yeah,
just so they're clear on it. So I'll give an example. The one that I said recently, I wasn't drinking. I went through stints of not drinking for periods of time, but this time I'm like, I actually need to take an extended break off it because I'm like, got to the point where when Finn's questioning, I was like, first time in my life I got up the next day and actually couldn't function. And having a child in front of you, I was like, this is the first time in my life I've had a hangover. I've not been able to do things, and I felt fucking awful for days. And I went, today's the day. I'm retiring from it. I'm absolutely gone. So I sent a text message to my dad, sent it to a couple of mates, and sent it to, well, I had a conversation with Jen, and pretty much went, everybody who had power over me when it came to social events and drinking were going, why are you not drinking? I just sent a text message going, I'm not drinking for these reasons. Like, I don't handle it well right now. I'm off it. And
yeah,
I admit, on the day I sent it, I was still going, I can't see myself getting through this next weekend without drinking
yeah.
because I'm fucking love a pint. But at the same time, I'm like, I need to send that text message because I know once I've done that, here we are 4 months in, I'm like, as much as there might still be a craving there, I'm like, I can't just message one of them and go, do I go for a pint? I'm sure I could. But at the same time, they're like, well, what happened to you feeling
Yeah,
this way about it? I'm like, well, I've had to commit to it. I've now had to dig deep into whatever. So I would say if your health and fitness goal is, you've said it for 5 years now, you want to get in shape, message people around you and go, right, guys, for the next couple of months, I need to focus on me. It's going to involve me saying no to a couple of things. It's not that I don't like you as a friend. It's not whatever. I'm just preempting the fact in mid-January when whatever's happening, the Man City game's on or whatever, I'm not going to be out for
yeah.
pints. Like, it's not a reflection on you. We can still meet up and do something else. We'll find something else to do. But realistically, I'm going to have to take care of myself for a wee while. Like, I think when you do that, take failure out of the equation. Like, you can't fail at that if you do that. Like, you literally can't. Promise you that. Like, don't go
Aye,
in
that's
2 feet,
amazing.
jump in.
Get it all in black and white. Tell everybody your nearest and dearest why you're doing it, for what reason, and then that's going to also help them understand a wee bit more where you're coming from. Because there is nothing worse than you trying to better yourself when you've got somebody who is mega, mega close to you questioning every single thing you do, why you're doing it. You don't need to lose weight. You don't need to do this. Or you're fine as you are. Just have another wee pint. Or one cake's not going to kill you. Things like that, comments like that can be quite hurtful, even though people might not mean them to be hurtful. They can be hurtful, they can be frustrating. One of the comments I hear is, or that I don't enjoy is, oh, you're skinny enough, or something
Oh,
along the lines like you're too skinny, or what do you need to lose weight for?
yeah, you're good the way you are. Yeah, yeah.
And another one, and what are you going to the gym for? You're skinny enough. Like, what do you think happens in the gym? Do you think they just come in and we just fucking liposuction them? Like,
Mate,
just it's ignorance, right? It's ignorance, and when you do start your journey, you're going to have a bit of pushback, and that no matter what you do in life, somebody is going to have something to say about it, whether that be negative or whether it be positive. Somebody, more than one person, is going to have an opinion on it. It is up to you how you handle that opinion. See if they've got a negative thing to say about what you want to do, about what makes you happy, then they probably want to be somebody that you don't really want to spend a lot of time around. You want to be limiting your time with them. And it took me years and years and years and years to realize this fact. Um, I need to start prioritizing myself, which is what I did do. Once I started doing the things that I wanted to do and that I want, like, that made me happy, that's when I started realizing who I wanted to, or who I had to limit my time around.
Just on that, I had a mentor who said to me last week, he was like, have you told people what they can and can't do? And in the circumstance that was being referred to, the answer was no. And they're like, well, how do they know they can't do it? And it's like
Mhm.
they're going to do things they don't know they can't do. So when you're talking, what struck me there is if I hadn't told the people I told that I wasn't drinking my reasons why, of course, every weekend at the pub,
Yeah,
like I can't go to a pub with them without expecting them to go, why are you not drinking? Because every other time I've went to the pub, I've drank, and that creates a pressure for me and for them. How can I then get upset at them for asking me that why I'm not drinking if I've not told them I don't want them to ask me because here's my
yeah,
reasons? I've been respectful enough to tell you my reasons why. I'm not repeating myself. I'm not drinking. I'm happy enough not to drink. I'm happy enough. I've been to the pub fucking probably more times than when I was drinking. I'm like, I'm fine with that. Probably spent more money on fucking non-alcoholic beer than I did on beer.
oh mate,
Like, not saved any money whatsoever, mate. Skin for
I
Christmas. But
I know.
what was I going to say? But if you don't tell the people, like, if you're moaning every time that you go into the office about how people keep on offering you things or how you're auntie keeps on saying, like, whatever, offering you things, and you've not actually told them they can't. That's not a them issue. That's a you issue.
Yeah.
Fucking speak to them about your goals. Don't tell them you're on a diet. Like, nobody wants to hear you're on a diet. Like, I've told people before I've not been drinking, and all of a sudden it's like, whatever. Tell them your reasons why. Don't tell them what you're doing. Tell them your reasons why you're
Yeah.
doing it. That's the important thing.
Aye, I love that. And I think that's a very good point to finish the episode on.
Yes. Cool. Gary, where can I find you?
Oh, Jesus Christ, you busting for a pee again?
Oh, mate, my legs rattling, mate. I think I've half got a wee squirt out there.
Right, let's drag this next part out then. So you can find me on
Got any
Instagram
running water there, mate?
at gmac_health and fitness. Kyle, where can they find you?
Killer_biofitness1.
Excellent. Thank you, Dave and Toby, for the music as always. Yeah, he's know where to find his team if he's have any questions. Thank you for listening. See you all next week.
You'll see Gary
Bye.
Couch after Celtic have beat Rangers. Anyway, right, bye.
Bye.